Wander Wealthy Podcast, episode 252. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Wander Wealthy Podcast. For those of you who are brand new to the show, my name is Tess Wicks. I'm the founder of Wander Wealthy, business coach for financial coaches of the world, and host of this here show about money and coaching and all things around building a money coaching business. And today we have a special solo show episode breaking down the numbers, why I truly believed, based on the data, that focusing on high touch coaching and one-on-one coaching with your clients pays off big time for your business. Now, before we get into the show, I want to introduce you to this week's sponsor, which is the pricing formula. The pricing formula is something that I came up with because I was frustrated when it came to figuring out a price for coaching. And I figured that, this is a problem that a lot of us deal with. I specifically came up with it to help my entrepreneur clients when I was focusing on being a money coach for entrepreneurs, come up with what they can be charging for their coaching so that they can ensure not only that they're charging a valuable amount for what it is that they're offering, but that it also makes sense based off of their goals, the expenses that they incur in their business, and ultimately what they need to pay themselves to be able to live. So no longer do you need to throw a price at the wall to see what sticks and hope that one sticks, but you can truly create a price and price your services accordingly so that it not only is a no-brainer for your clients, but it also makes sense for you. And get this, the pricing formula is a plug-and-play calculator as well as a workbook that you get to go through, plus some mini bonus trainings that I have to offer, and you get it all for $27. It's a no-brainer in and of itself because it is jam-packed with value and you're going to get so much out of it to figure out how to price your signature coaching package and offering. And I also walk you through some of the mistakes that so many coaches make, which is, yes, pricing by coaching session. And I figured that this sponsor is so relevant to this week's podcast episode because we are going to be talking about high ticket pricing when it comes to offering your one-on-one or even group coaching packages and why that's important, why the numbers make sense. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that your price makes sense. So head to wanderwealthy.com/pricing to get your hands on the pricing formula. You can breeze through it and start plug and playing your numbers into it in the course of a weekend. It's so easy. Just go to wanderwealthy.com/pricing and make your pricing dreams come true. Plus your money coaching, loving calculators dreams. It's just all the good stuff in there. wanderwealthy.com/pricing. All right, on to the show. I remember the frustrations at the beginning of my business. I remember trying to figure out how I was going to make this money coaching business work. In fact, I tried so many things to avoid coaching because I believed that coaching was not sustainable. I believed that offering my services in a one-off capacity or even in a package where I'm working with clients, maybe once a month or even once a week, it just wasn't going to make sense. No one was going to pay for my money coaching. I had a slight understanding of the math when we broke down the numbers, that I'd need a lot of followers or organic website visitors or money to invest in ads to get those website visitors to hit my business revenue goals. And quite honestly, I was just completely stumped at how I was going to get there and ultimately how to figure that out. I was also pretty impatient. I needed clients. I needed income. And I didn't have the 3 years to put into building my blog to finally have the traffic in order to make, a couple dimes on advertising or affiliates or any of that stuff. And that impatience actually made me do that hopping around. That impatience made me try a low-cost course and downloads and, try a group thing way earlier than I was ready for a group thing. And everything was so low price because I didn't have the confidence because I wasn't getting focused. And ultimately, I had no idea there was a simpler solution right under my nose. You see, I was doing coaching, but I had the belief that it wasn't fathomable. How do we say that word? I had the belief that it wasn't scalable. And that belief, those doubts that I just chose to believe about the scalability of money coaching and the words that I was hearing other people tell me, it made me just avoid it altogether. But really, the simple solution was to keep focusing on that route and to stop trying to build all the low-priced online courses and digital downloads and instead create a high-touch, high-impact, high-value coaching program and sell the living heck out of it. Okay? So that's kind of the secret sauce. And that's all that we talk about in my signature program, the Wealthy Coach Blueprint. And there's so many reasons, good reasons, to focus on a high touch coaching program, from, gaining experience for you, making sure that you're building a sustainable and scalable business, all of the things that you need in terms of the skills and the mindset and the confidence, and also just like walking your talk and helping your clients get real results. There's lots of reason to build that high touch, high impact, high value coaching program. There's also the reason of the numbers. The numbers just make sense. So let's break them down today. Let's say that your goal is to make $5,000 per month in your business. So how can you do this? And you've probably seen examples like this all over the internet. And if you haven't, then I'm excited because we're going to, blow your mind open to it right now. But if you have, I want you to bear with me because we're going to get more into the nitty gritty. And again, I say bear with me because I'm talking numbers and this is an audio format. So you just have to bear with me. Okay, but what does it take to get to $5,000 a month with a $10 download? Okay, a lot of people offer these low-priced offerings right from the get-go of building their business, which, gets them dribbles in the door and then ultimately deflates their hopes of building a business, right? So do as I say, not as I do in a way, because I made all those mistakes in the past. And also, you heard me talk about this week's sponsor with the pricing formula, which isn't just a download. It's kind of a full-fledged course and it's at a reasonably low price from a business perspective. But also, it is not the first thing that I offered in this business model that I have now. The very first thing I offered is my high touch, high ticket one-on-one coaching offering, which is the Wealthy Coach Blueprint. From there, I built out some of these smaller things. And so I just want you to know that as your coach here on this podcast, you might see other people doing all of those lower priced offerings, but you need to know that that's probably, if they're, successful, and that's sometimes hard to tell, but if they're bringing in the income that they need to, hit their own personal revenue goals, which is nuanced and varies for everyone, but if they're hitting the mark, then that's probably why they've went into these lower priced offerings. But sometimes people are also just doing it wrong. So I want you to do as I say, not as I did when I first started out, which was trying to do all those low cost things, because it makes sense, right? It makes sense why you would want to do that. You see everyone else doing it, especially those successful people. They have something that's low, a low barrier to entry, but it's not what you think. They most likely offered something higher touch and then scaled down to that, when in reality, they don't need that $10 from that download to live off of. What they're doing is they're getting leads, and the leads are coming in, paying them. And that's how that's happening. But it's not the smartest thing to start off with, because what you need to focus on when you're early on in your business is making the money and getting the impact for your clients. So then it makes sense to do something lower priced. Okay, I just need to say that caveat because we all make that mistake of seeing what everyone else is doing and then we just repeat it because that must be the success. But oftentimes you're seeing their, chapter 75 when you're on your chapter 1, not to sound like a cliche, but that's typically what's happening. Okay, so back to our breaking the numbers down. You want to reach $5,000 a month If you start with a $10 download, you're going to need 500 paying customers per month to get $5,000 in the door. That's a lot of customers. Now remember, like I said earlier, that example, those people who are offering these downloads, me even, when I'm offering you the pricing formula, it's not because I'm relying on pricing formula sales to live off of, right? But, they make a difference for sure. They definitely help. They also bring people in, and I'm also offering something of substantial value, which I have validated from first and foremost offering the Wealthy Coach Blueprint. And for those of you who don't know, the Wealthy Coach Blueprint is my one-on-one signature business coaching program for money coaches. It's high ticket, it's high value, it's high impact. We get results. And that's what personally, like I was saying, I started with before I scaled into those other offerings. The next example is a $100 mini course. I think a lot of people start around these price ranges and believe that they have to offer something around that price range to get anyone in the money coaching space to buy. But in order to get your $5,000 a month, in order to hit something that you might need in order to be able to live off of this business, or, even if you scaled these numbers down smaller, it still always makes sense to go higher ticket. But let's say you're choosing, nope, I'm going for that $100 mini course or full-fledged course. Some people even offer at that price point, which is wild, and we need to work on that, but we'll get there. In order to hit your $5,000 month, you need 50 paying customers per month. Okay, 50 paying customers. Not necessarily 500, but some may argue it's easier to get 500 to buy at $10 than it is 50 to buy at 100. I beg to differ. However, that's just not even a big price differential when it's a huge actual number of paying customers differential to make a difference. Let's say you're doing a $300 more built out kind of full-fledged course. Well, even to make that $5,000 a month, you need 17 paying customers per month to get that reoccurring. Okay, that's still many people to try to opt in, to buy in to that course to get that kind of livable revenue pace that you need to hit. Now, if we go for a coaching program, and people will say high ticket and mean a lot of different things. So kind of my version of high ticket in the money coaching space is anything over $1,000. $1,000 is typically a substantial investment for a majority of people. As you get more specific or more focused on who it is you serve, you can absolutely bump up your offering, bring in more value for those individuals, and find yourself at $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. And there's lots of people who consider high ticket to be $5,000 up to $25,000. I think the word, what high ticket means for many people is subjective. But obviously in this case, we're going to look around that $1,000 range because that's probably where you could start out. You can absolutely start out higher, and I would even invite you to do that. But we're going to start, for the sake of this example, at $1,250. Can easily break that up into 5 monthly payments, make it make a lot of sense, or 4 or 3 or 6. It goes many different ways. But $1,250 in total, $1,250 for a high touch, high ticket, high value coaching program. What do you need in order to hit your $5,000 month at this price point? 4 clients per month. Okay. We're going to break this down even more, but you just need 4 clients per month. Now, let's go back to that $10 download. In order to get 500 paying customers, what you're typically looking at when it comes to the math and when we're really talking about conversions and funnels and marketing is going to be a conversion rate. Now, a conversion rate means many different things depending in the context of what you're talking about. But in this case, we're going to talk about, let's say you have this digital download and it's just on a landing page and you send traffic to that landing page, whether that's from your blog or a podcast or a YouTube channel or your social media accounts. You're sending the traffic over there. So on this landing page, you need people to come so that they buy your $10 download. Now, just from that, just for buying on a landing page, the estimated conversion rate, it can depend on the market, it can depend on the industry, but it's usually going to be between 0.5% to 3%, which is actually a pretty wide range. What we're going to assume here is that for a $10 download, you could potentially assume a little bit higher in that range conversion rate. So we're going to give you a flat 2% conversion rate for this $10 download. It doesn't take a lot of convincing for someone to just pay the $10 and get that download, whatever it might be, a budget, a progress tracker, something else, anything you have to offer, a calculator even. So 2% conversion rate, what does this mean? Well, in order to get 500 people who actually convert at that 2% rate, we need to divide 500 by 0.02. And when you do that, that means that you need to have 25,000 monthly website visitors to that landing page in order to get 500 paying clients per month, in order to hit your $5,000 revenue per month. Okay? Every goal that you have, by the way, every money goal, everything, you can back out of it using math like this. You just have to have an idea of what that conversion rate looks like. Now, if you wanted to get more accurate, what you would do is use your own data. But if you're first starting out, you don't have your own data. So we need to use some kind of industry standards. And a 1% to 2% is usually going to be a conservative range. So knowing that you need 25,000 monthly website visitors, consider where you're at now. I can honestly say from personal experience, first starting out my blog, my podcast, kind of doing all the things, but also like really putting a good college try into it. I spent, 3 years working on it, but the reality was I needed to make money like yesterday. And so through that time, it typically takes about on average 3 years for a blog to really gain that level of traction, gain that organic search, and also for you to feel comfortable, for most people to feel comfortable putting money into ads to be able to run those ads and get traffic to that landing page for them to convert. And ultimately, you also need to make sure that it's the right people coming to the page to make that conversion happen. So it's a big number. Am I saying it's not doable? Absolutely not. A lot of people do this. A lot of the people who are doing it successfully are doing it because they have that traffic. And if you don't have the traffic at the moment, then this is something that's absolutely an option in the future, but it doesn't need to be the option right now. Even though you might have kind of this reverse confidence where you're confident enough to sell something for $10, not necessarily something for $1,250, and someone else has all the confidence in the world to sell that high ticket price and doesn't necessarily need to sell the $10 download. It's the opposite that they're actually most likely need to be focusing on. You with maybe less confidence to sell the $10 thing, but maybe not so the $1,250, you need to sell that $1,250 thing. And the person who's good with the $1,250, they're probably interested in scaling up their business because they have that traction, because they have the results, because they know they can make the impact, and it's time for them to focus on something that might be a little bit lower price to get more leads in the door. I know it feels backwards, but that's how the cookie crumbles. That's how the sausage is made. You get what I'm saying. Okay, so as we continue, we can continue to use these conversion rates to understand that same breakdown. So like I was saying, a $100 mini course means you need 50 paying customers per month. If you're selling a mini course, again, you're most likely selling it on a landing page, which means that you could expect, and again, we're using industry standards because we don't have your data, but we're going to expect about a 1.5% conversion rate. We're cutting into that conversion rate slightly from 2%. 2% is better. 1.5% is not as good, but still within that range of industry standards. But we're going a little bit lower because we just 10x'd the price of what it is the person is getting. So when we bump up that price point, we're going to see the conversion rate go down just slightly. And also for the sake of the example, just to really understand what's going on here. And when you take 50 and divide it by 1.5% or 0.015, you still need about 3,333 website visitors per month. And again, if you're not seeing that traction, and this isn't just website visitors, this is landing page visitors, people who are falling onto your landing page. If you're not seeing that level of traction, then again, it's going to be really hard to hit that $5,000 per month revenue goal, which is again, another reason why once we see the numbers further, you'll see how it's far more realistic. And I don't even want to say realistic, because I am big into manifestation. I know wild things can happen, and I know that the world is available to you, but I also want to be, in a sense, realistic, where you can't just wish and hope website visitors to come. There needs to be strategy behind that. So think even about your social following right now, or your subscriber base, if you have email subscribers, or the actual people who are visiting your website. Whatever platform you're using to create content and get the word out there about what it is you want to do, think about that and think about how many people are landing on your page. Whether it is a website, you can see those numbers, usually in Google Analytics, but also you can consider your social media channel. If you have the link to this mini course, in your bio, but you're at, 1,000 followers or even 200 followers, there's a significant mismatch there in terms of eyeballs that you need to get on that page so that you can get that 1.5 conversion rate to get 50 paying customers per month. Now, ads can come into play here, but my mission is to help you build a business that is sustainable and scalable without having to use a large amount of capital from the get-go. Are ads a great option? Absolutely. You can run ads to sell your $10 download, your $100 mini course, your $300 course, even your high-ticket coaching program. But right now, that's not our focus. Our focus is how can we organically build a business using what you have right now? All right. So we've gone through the $10 download, the $100 mini course. The other piece is that $300 course, which can definitely get you closer to that $5,000 per month revenue goal. And just a reminder, this is an arbitrary goal I picked out of the sky. If you actually have a revenue goal that you need to aim for or you want to aim for, I would suggest doing this and, doing a similar exercise with your actual goal, and then backtracking out, like, first, how many customers to get that revenue, and then what are the actual website visitors at a average conversion rate to ultimately get the customers so that you can hit that revenue. Because at the end of the day, yes, a big part of what we do is impact, but also we need to make money so that we can continue to build and spread that impact to many more people. So with the $300 course, we had mentioned that you need 17 paying customers per month to reach that $5,000 revenue mark. Now, we're decreasing that conversion rate slightly again because we have increased that price point. So just from trying to sell this course from a landing page, we're going to use about a 1% conversion rate. Now, this 1% conversion rate means that in order to get 17 paying customers per month, you need about 1,700 website visitors. Now, I do say that typically with an increasing price, and 300 is still relatively low, but for our market, it can feel like a stretch depending on who your niche is, who your ideal client is. But with anything that's increasing in price, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes there needs to be something in addition for you to see that conversion rate, even at 1 to 2%, succeed. And, that's why a lot of people will introduce the funnels and the live webinars or pre-recorded webinars to really create more of that relationship so that it can lead to the right amount of website visitors to actually see that conversion rate pull through. But even, again, if we're living in reality, we're looking at these numbers and we're thinking strategically about our business, 1,700 website visitors is significant, especially if, again, you're sitting on a lower number of actual followers, if, again, you're using a social media platform right now within your business, or you're not seeing that consistently come across your landing page, right? Even if you have 1,700 website visitors, are all of them coming through to that landing page? And if so, then, you might also have an example of a conversion rate that you can use. And if it's all happening for you, great. And in another way, especially for those who are just starting out, they're starting from scratch. They don't even have a website, and they're really looking to be able to bring in income before investing their time and resources into even building a website in the first place. But again, you can really look at your current website traffic. You can look at your current kind of following and reach online and see if you're seeing that conversion rate pull through. But that 1,700 is still a pretty significant number to hit in order to get 17 paying clients so that you can be grossing your $5,000 per month in revenue. This leads me to the high touch coaching program that is, in our world, high ticket. In some others, still like a course priced program. But again, we're really aiming for this especially when we're just getting started. So let's say, bringing that example back with the $1,250 coaching program, this would include one-on-one high-touch coaching where you're taking your client through your program and they're really getting what they're paying for. And this means that, in order to hit that $5,000 per month revenue goal, you only need 4 clients per month. Now, for some people, that still feels like a lot, especially if you're sitting at 0. But once you get all of the systems that you need in place, you get your marketing down, you get your sales down, it really does become quite achievable. And the truth behind this is that we're actually not just focusing on a website, a landing page to drive the conversion, because when we're looking at coaching, we're looking more through the lens of applications and sales calls or simple sales conversations. And what the reality is, when you get people to apply and book a sales call, is that you can actually significantly increase that rate of which people who apply actually become clients, because they're not just strangers on the internet landing on your landing page and clicking out. They're real people that you've probably already built a relationship with, or who have, found your page and totally digested your content. And your goal is to drive people, instead of to a basic landing page, drive people to take the step to either fill out an application or to inquire about the opportunity of working with you so that they can fill out that application. Now, when you work on building that relationship, again, that builds more incentive and more openness for people to actually want to take that next step of signing up to work with you. So instead of looking at it as a conversion rate, we're kind of talking about it in terms of a close rate, but at the end of the day, it's people turning from potential clients or customers into paying clients or customers. And instead of a 1% conversion rate from a landing page or 2%, we're looking at a close rate between 20% and 50%. This is the range that I see my clients work with. A lot of my clients will even close at a higher percentage because they do a really good job of validating who it is they work with and making sure that those are the people who are applying for their program. Others are still working on finding that market fit, but 20% is typically, a conversion rate that most people average in the industry. And it's, relatively doable for many people, especially those who go through the Wealthy Coach Blueprint, learn how to validate their market and their product fit and the price point, and have, a good marketing plan to bring potential clients in the door. So when you have that 20 to 50% close rate, that means in order to get 4 clients per month, you need to bring in 8 to 20 applications per month. Now, I know that's a wide spread, but again, once you have your own data, you can really determine what this looks like. So 8 applications is if you have a close rate around 50%. If you have a close rate closer to 20%, then you're obviously going to need more applications coming in the door on a monthly basis, but it's still around 20 applications. Now, I want you to think about it this way. Can you think of 20 people that you can help? And I don't mean this in a icky way, think of people that you could help even if they don't know you could help them and you're just going to reach out to them. I'm not having you go and reach out to them and sell them something they don't need. But honestly, can you think about 20 people that you can help? Can you think about actually connecting with 20 people on the internet, right? The internet is full of literally billions of people. Can you think of connecting with 20 people who could use your help, even if you might not know them. I bet you at least can think of like 2 to 3, which gets you, a significant way there. But then thinking about connecting with more of those people, like the 2 to 3 people that you can think of. Do they have friends? Do they have colleagues? Do they have family members that they could either introduce you to, or you can just leverage as a connection point to keep thinking about these people? And again, this isn't necessarily a sales tactic to like go and just like burn out your network, but this is a way for you to think about the fact that you can actually think about, connect with, and drive relationships with 20 people on a monthly basis. And I know that it, for me especially, like that can feel overwhelming sometimes because I am quite introverted. But when I have a process behind it, it makes me feel a little bit more at ease. So I'm always all about tackling my business from a place of there's numbers, there are statistics, there are ways that we can make this strategic for my analytical brain, but also I'm a human doing business, and these are humans wanting to invest in themselves, and I also want to be able to connect with them. So how can we make the numbers make sense across the board where, yes, I can reverse engineer my goal of, let's say, getting 4 clients per month, but it also feels good to me, and I can actually wrap my mind around creating connections with individuals who have an incentive to fill out an application and start to work with me. You can wrap your mind around 20 people, right? You can look around, a public place and be able to spot 20 people and kind of put a circle around them and know that is 20 people. But when you start to think about 1,700, when you start to think about 3,300, when you start to think about 25,000, that's when people become just a number, become a blur of a face, right? And so this is another reason why not only do the numbers make sense, right? Like it's so much easier to create connection and build this know, like, and trust factor, which is ultimately what we're doing when we're marketing with 20 people at a time versus trying to kind of spray and pray to get to 1,700, 3,300, and 25,000 and feeling really deflated when either we don't hit those numbers or we don't know what's wrong with us because we're not reaching those numbers. When in reality, what you most likely have done is you've just tried to build your business backwards. And it's not your fault because you're looking at how everyone else is doing it, the people who've already made it, and what they're doing now is the $10 download or the $100 mini course or the $300 course. And they probably are also still doing some sort of high ticket offering, but they're able to do that lower price thing because they don't rely on it, but they also have that reach. So it makes sense for them. Whereas for you, starting from potentially 0 or a small number, right? What's more impactful for you is actually to focus on a higher price program because also, guess what? You have the time to put in to those relationships when someone signs on to work with you and make sure that the program that you are offering them is the best ever and get those really good results. Okay, so remember, there's a difference between website visitors and applications, and I think that's what makes this even more compelling when it comes to offering that high ticket offering. When you hyper focus on getting applications filled out, you get to focus on quality over quantity, like I was saying earlier, and you focus on building those relationships where you have more to give, but also to take, right? It's a give and take, and you can build a synchronous relationship where there is a back and forth communication. You could actually have 20 conversations with individuals throughout the month. Whereas again, that 1,700, 3,300, 25,000, it's not going to work like that, right? That's when we talk about the asynchronous sort of relationship where it's you typing out an email and sending it out into the ether and, only hearing back from a handful, if any at all. What I really feel this does is also give you a sense of control over your own business and the conversions involved that allow you to make this business an actual business when, money is concerned. I think that sense of control, but also being able to see that you can make income by making that higher ticket offering and that really high value offering. It's what every new business owner or frustrated business owner who's not seeing that income come in, it's what we all need. And You might have doubts around your abilities to do it, but I know that you can do it. That's what I help all of my clients through the Wealthy Coach Blueprint do. And you almost, I don't want to say you need to do it, but it's just so helpful to focus on that higher touch offering. So with 20 applications per month, you could have a following of 200 people on Instagram. Half of them could be ideal clients, and you'd still have 5 months worth of potential clients with a good probability of converting them into paying clients. Meanwhile, spending those 5 months continuing to build and grow your audience, nurture more clients, and develop an omnipresence in your space for your brand, your niche market, and the solution that you provide. Most people come to me and they say, I have a really small following. Like, I don't have any people following me. I have 100 or 200. And we do that math. Look at how many people are already in there. And, again, even if there's only 1 month's worth, we can go to work with that while working on building up that omnipresence and allowing you to become the top of mind money expert in your space so that you continue to grow that audience and that access to more individuals who could use your services. So it's all about that process, having confidence in yourself, taking the leap that you need to take, and knowing that the numbers really do break down in your favor when you focus on building the business almost in the exact opposite way than you think you should. So I hope this was helpful. I am so excited for you to see and realize that these numbers do work out in your favor. And of course, if you want to join any of the programs that we have to offer at Wander Wealthy, I think there's obviously many of them that will benefit you in the new year. But don't forget to check out the pricing formula. Go to wanderwealthy.com/pricing to calculate your high-priced coaching program, which is also high touch and high impact. And if you want to join me in the next round of the Wealthy Coach Blueprint, head to wanderwealthy.com/blueprint. Check out all the details on how I can support you in making your business a reality in 2022. Oh my gosh, that rhymed. And we can take the next step from there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. You can find this week's show notes at wanderwealthypodcast.com. And until next time, I hope you wander wealthy.